All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go ahead and call this special meeting to order. What do we have? 40 more seconds? Oh. Oh, sorry. Okay. Don't be jumpy. Sorry. So we're going to call this meeting to order. We're going to stand for the pledge and pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mayor Jones.
Here.
Vice Mayor Nunn.
Here.
Councilmember Dixon. Here. Councilmember Dodd.
Here.
And Councilmember McPartlin.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, so we call this because I know I've been charged with negotiating the contracts for the charter officers, and Mr. Maya and I have been working on that. We've met with the charter officers as well. During our meetings and negotiations, there were some things that came up, and I think from this point, I'll let Mr. Maya go down in order in legal terms so everybody understands where we are in the contract. Mr. Maya.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the mayor said, we've entered into negotiations with the two charter officers. I've provided 4 agreements that resulted from these negotiations. The agreements that you have contain the specific terms you requested with the following exceptions. In relation to the city manager's contract, the vacation, sick leave, and discretionary time is given at the same rate as managerial employees, and upon separation will either be given pursuant to a city council adopted policy or the current employee exempt benefits package that's attached. So there's one agreement that has the city council adopted policy in the language. There's a second agreement that has the current employee exempt benefits package, and it's attached to the agreement. So there's only one policy right now in the city that I could locate with the help of the clerk that would be considered a policy of managerial employees, and that is the employee exempt benefits document that you have attached to one of the contracts. And that is created by the manager. So that employee exempt benefits is created by the manager, never approved by council. If the council wishes, the manager and the clerk's vacation, sick leave, and discretionary time to be governed by something other than the current policy, which is the employee exempt benefits, adopted solely by the manager, then we need direction as to which method to use, or can choose another method. So we have all these references in the agreement that was drafted to city policy, managerial policy. Yet we only have a policy created by the manager, and it's entitled the Employee Exempt Benefits Package. We can leave it that way, and then at the discretion of the manager, that policy can be changed solely by him. We could adopt a city council adopted policy, which would need to be adopted before we adopted this contract or these contracts, because this language is in the clerk's contract as well. Or we can freeze in time the employee exempt benefits package by attaching it to the agreement. So that's the first item. We're seeking direction as to which way you want us to go.
Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Dodd.
Well, there's actually been 4 versions of that particular document, I think. Well, one of them in 2011, I believe it was actually that version was actually approved by council, I believe.
There was one that was approved by council, but it expired.
But so my feeling is that, that it does belong as a council-approved item. And it should apply to all, that benefit package should apply to all employees, non-union employees, including the charter officers. I think the same policy should apply, because it's for things like selling back sick pay, sick time, vacation time, accruing certain things. And if, to make it part of an actual employment agreement or contract between a charter officer and the city, seems like it kind of gets them out of step with the employees, and that's something that we're gonna have a lot of employees not happy with. They would just as soon see the charter officers, you know, follow the same rules that they do, and I think that I agree with that. So my preference would be we do that. I don't see anything different in this 2020, let me see, there's a 13, a 16, and now a 19 copy of that. I don't know if the other council members have an opportunity to read that. I hope you have, but I don't see anything overly, I don't see anything different in there than what we have already basically agreed to during the discussion on the union negotiations. It contains all the changes to employees hired after October of last year, having different rules on selling back vacation and sick time and so forth. So it doesn't seem to me it's any different than that, but I would like to see that approved by council.
Yes.
I'm good with everything Mr. Dodd said. The only concern I have is as long as nothing in that agreement negatively impacts any of our charter officer benefit packages they have now. For instance, I'll pick on Jeanette. Jeanette might want to leave a couple of years from now. As long as nothing we change in her contract now affects from what she has currently for selling of her sick time, her vacation, or anything like that. I don't think anything should affect our charter officers negatively.
Okay, so related to Jeanette's contract, the city clerk's contract, I'm gonna address that separately.
Okay,
I'm gonna break it out for you.
okay. Well, it would be the same for the city manager. Nothing in the contract should negatively affect their benefits that they were hired with a contract with, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I think at this point, based on things that have happened today, we should probably keep this kind of generic.
Agreed.
And for the city attorney and the city manager. And so the question is, I heard Councilmember Dodd say that he wants it to be a city council adopted policy. And if you read the contract, that city council adopted policy only applies to a couple things. It applies to the sick time, the vacation time, the discretionary time, and then there's a reference to the policy for military leave, which we don't have a policy, but it has a backup of state and federal law in it, so I'm comfortable with that. But it does not deal with all the other things in that employee exempt benefits package. It doesn't provide all those benefits in this contract. This contract's specific as to what benefits they get. And when we get to the city clerk, we're going to talk about some of the benefits that she had and is going to lose if we adopt it as it's written in this contract. Because it does not adopt everything, and I can list some of the things. If it's the desire of this board or this council to have all the benefits that are listed in that employee exempt benefits package apply to charter officers, I'll need to rework the contract so that language is clear. But I welcome any other comments because I've only heard from 2 council members so far about which way to go.
Chris, you have another?
No, go ahead for now.
Anyone else?
I was just going to say, I agree. Whatever we decide, it shouldn't be putting them backwards or affecting them negatively in any way. So.
Mr. McPartland?
Well, I guess I grabbed the wrong packet when I left the house, because I was looking through all the stuff, and as far as, yeah, I agree, like, the exempt policy pertains to the vacation, sick leave, all that time kind of thing. But I thought we were kind of doing away with the longevity pay. And that's in the exempt portion. And I don't think that it should be in one and not in another.
The union contract has the union contract that was just approved has the longevity pay still in it.
Yeah,
I think there was some changes
we changed the schedule.
in the schedule.
If I may, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Carter.
The language that's in the managerial is the same language that's in all the union contracts. That after you've been here, anybody that was hired after October 1, 2022, their longevity pay is at 5 years and 10 years. Those before October 1, 2022 is at 3% at 5 years and 5% every year until the 20th year at 7%. So we just mirrored the exact same language that was in the two union contracts, which you all have been deeply involved in.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. McPartland.
Because then I just think that, they should kind of follow the exempt policy as it pertains to the days, the thing, but salary and any raise increases, I think, should be part of the contract, coming back annually during a review.
Mr. Meyer?
So, I mean, we can do it either way. I just need direction as going forward for any new contract, be it city attorney, city manager, city clerk. Do we want to include the provision related to longevity, which is it's a raise, it's a salary issue? Or do we want to have that control just in the contract?
I think longevity needs to be in the contract. I don't think any salary increases should be granted. No salary increases should be granted to a charter officer outside of council action, which means if you put that in the contract, it's automatic. And I think that's what the overall intent when we first started this a long time ago was to try to change that so that the charter officers were more closely aligned to the council, and the council's review process was what drove the salary increases for the charter officers, as opposed to the union negotiations driving that. So,
Right.
As far as benefits are concerned, sick time, health benefits, life benefits, things like that, I think all employees, no matter whether they're a charter officer or not, should have the same of those, and they could be defined in a single policy so that they apply to all employees. But as far as anything related to salary is concerned, or increases in salary, should be in the individual contract.
Right. Mr. Nutt?
I agree and disagree. I agree that salary increases should be, longevity pay is not a merit-based increase. Merit-based increases should be evaluated at the annual evaluation. Longevity pay is based on your time here at the city. That's a benefit. In my mind, that should be included as part of the benefits, not in the contract. That should be treated, the charter officer should be treated like every other employee when it comes to that, because I consider that a benefit. A merit increase is a totally different discussion. That should be dealt with in the evaluation and by their contract. Just my opinion. I don't think the two are the same. I know there's still a salary change, but I don't think they should be treated the same. They're not treated the same for any other employee in the city. Why would they be for the charter officer?
Right. You talking about, you got that right, about removing the 5%, leaving the merit, no, not the merit,
I mean,
the longevity pay in? Is that
I
what you're
believe we
saying?
should leave the longevity pay as per the management benefits contract as far as the, I apologize, the merit-based increases, that should be based on the contract. So I think they should be separated. I don't think they should be tied together because they adjust the salary. I think they should be separated based on their intent. One is not intended to be merit-based. One is intended to be based on your time here at the city. And if we give every other employee that benefit, they should have that benefit as well.
I can agree with that. I mean, it costs us a lot to hire any of our charter members through the process that we just went through with the city attorney. Kind of incentivizes sticking around longer.
It does.
And which may help us get bigger projects accomplished in the future.
Mr. McPartland, you have anything on that?
Whatever you want.
No, Mr. Mai, that can be written in there. I think we were pretty close to that anyway, right?
So, just a point of clarification, I understand that Councilmember Dodd said that he doesn't want the longevity portion to be in the city council adopted policy. But if I'm reading it right, there's a majority that do want that to be in the,
Correct.
okay. Yeah, I can do that. Okay, so then let me go on to the clerk. I got to take a quick note. With the clerk, in negotiations with the clerk, she raised the issue that she wanted the policy to be adopted by the board, so that's been fixed at this point. We'll fix that. She also would like to retain her significant vacation, discretionary, and sick time that she currently has. With the change to this policy, she stands to lose, well, she starts with 1,222.7 hours of vacation, 864.94 hours of sick time, and 32 hours of discretionary time. If under this contract, under using the current employee benefits, exempt benefits package that was created by the manager, she would lose, she would go down to 400 vacation hours, that she would have to burn 822.74 hours by the full payroll period of the fiscal year. Or she would lose, well, that's a value, she would lose them, and that's a value of about $42,000.
Mr. Mayor, may I? All right, my recommendation is that our city clerk works very hard. She's been a very amazing, wonderful employee over the many years that she's been here. I say that the contract should have an addendum to allow her, however you think it needs to be done, so that the contracts aren't completely different. Maybe add an addendum that we've agreed to let her keep her vacation and sick time until she retires. I guess if we're not letting her do that, but if she ever decides to do that, my opinion is that we should let her keep all of that time until that point. And then when the day comes that we hire a new city clerk, they go according to the contract.
May I?
Mr. Dodd?
Okay, the 2013 version of this managed benefits package, which is what the charter officers are bound by today, okay? The 2013 version has a maximum number of annual leave hours of 400 that can be accrued and reimbursed for at termination. It has a maximum number of hours of 600 of sick leave that can be accrued and paid for at termination. And it's based on the same years of service schedule. The only change that's been made, actually, if you go back beyond 2013, the only change that's been made is that currently employees that are hired after October 1st of 2022 are not going to be able to convert sick time to vacation time. It's not changing the amount of sick time or vacation time that the city clerk could sell at the time she decides to leave employment at all. I mean, that's in, I've got all four of them right here.
So,
That same number is in the 2011 policy, and that same number is in the version of the policy that was done.
All right, Mr. Meyer.
Yeah, so the 2013 agreement, employee benefits package was adopted by the council, but it was for a short period, so it's no longer it's no longer binding. It had an expiration in it. Second part is the clerk's contract provides she gets this stuff. She gets her vacation time when she leaves. She gets her benefits when she leaves.
Okay, so the clerk's contract currently has no limit on it.
Yeah. So by amending her contract and making her follow the policy, that's where she loses her money.
All right.
So then back to what I mentioned, I don't know if it'd be better to amend her current or her new contract to make it equal, or if it'd be better to add an addendum to her contract. Whichever way, you're the attorney. Well, I mean, unless anybody else disagrees, of course.
So it's beginning to sound to me like what we really should do is have an exempt employee benefits package that applies to all exempt employees except for the charter officers, and that we encompass in the charter officer contract all benefits.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like, Sebastian.
Well, that won't be for now, I mean, because,
Here, the way there's a number of ways you can do this, okay? The one version says to follow, that the charter officers shall abide by the adopted city council policy. Then you would go to your policy, which you would adopt, and you would look at the policy and say, okay, they have to abide by this. What does it say they get for vacation? And if in that policy you want the city manager, the city clerk, and the city attorney to be the same, then we can say that in that policy. If you want the city manager, city clerk, city attorney to be different, you can say this provision shall not apply to charter officers. This provision only applies to exempt employees. Then you have the flexibility to change that document over time because you've just referenced it in the contract. We could do it the way you suggested and take chunks of it and put it directly in the contract, which is what the second version did, although I just attached it to save a little time. But you could put those directly in the contract, but then when you do that, it's frozen. You can't change it. If the staff gets a better deal, the manager, the city attorney, and the clerk are stuck with what was in their contract that day. And that's the way the manager's contract is right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think what I heard previously was have it say city policy, but at the same time, we want to save the clerk's what her current contract says related to her vacation sick. And that's simple. I just pull it from her current contract and
I
plug
have
it
no
in.
problem with that.
I'm
Yeah,
great
that's
with that.
fine.
I don't have a problem with it.
I have just a few more items on the clerk's contract, and I just want to make sure that, she also wanted to make sure she retained the longevity, and that's, we've managed that. And then, there's currently a policy, I don't think it's in the employee, in that employee policy I referenced, where health insurance is half price for 2 years after leaving the city. And I was told this by the clerk. I don't have any policy unless it, so I'm going to defer to her on where that comes from. And she wanted that to be included.
It's item F.
Oh, okay, it is in the employee. Okay, so that one's already included, so I guess she can tell me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like we've resolved everything related to her contract.
good.
And we'll draft it accordingly. And we'll draft the city attorney's contract the same, and we'll draft the city manager's contract the same.
Yeah, we're gonna be working on speaking to her in the next week or so, hopefully, and,
So we don't need anything on this tonight. You're gonna bring that back?
no,
after
no,
you-
yeah, we're gonna draft up everything and bring it back, so we'll have everything ready for the 24th meeting.
So these 4 copies I can,
Yeah, we'll have a new one, and, we'll have it on the is it the
Thank you, sir.
24th, right?
One other item?
thank you, sir.
Yeah, no,
One other related item?
what is it?
And I don't know, Mr. Mai, maybe you can help with this. When we discussed giving the salary survey pay to our charter officers, we held off until the city contract for the employees was finished. Well, that is finished as of yesterday. What do we need to do to make that official to give the salary survey pay increases to our, I guess at this point, all 3 of our charter officers, our former charter officer and the 2 existing?
That's a good question. I'm not exactly sure what action you took to suspend giving them that pay pending the union contract being negotiated and fulfilled. If you took an actual motion to do that, or whether it was just general direction.
We took a motion to do that,
Okay.
to postpone the charter officer's pay until the employee union contract was finalized.
Does the clerk have the language of that motion, or can she somehow dig it up?
Not on hand, not on.
No.
Yeah, but we're not gonna do anything about that now. We only had this.
It's part of their
yeah.
contracts, that's why I was
Yeah.
bringing it up.
Yeah, so,
That should be on the agenda for our next
Well,
meeting.
technically, it's gotta be discussed because the number that's on the city clerk's pay for her salary, which would be part of her contract, would have to be that number and not her current number, so.
No, her contract number is different than
I
that.
think it's the same number.
yeah,
Her
the
contract number
the
can be
clerk's
any number
contract,
we approve.
the clerk's contract number should be correct. It should be correct. We didn't have a longevity issue with her contract.
I'm talking about the salary survey adjustment.
But yeah, we can approve any number we choose to approve on her contract.
Well, I know
That
that,
goes into effect on the day the contract
I
goes
know that
into
we
effect.
can, but we agreed on a specific number and postponed it until the
Yeah.
employee union contract. Do we need to add that to the agenda?
You
for
see those
Regular
numbers?
city council meeting?
The direction I was given was to use the
Her numbers were adjusted.
Okay.
salary survey number, and that's the number I used.
Right.
Okay.
And
Well, would that-
if you want me to use a different number related to the
No, that's
clerk, I'd be happy to. The one that's in our contract, do you think that number is wrong?
No, it's
Mr.
right.
Mayor
the
Jones
salary
said it's
study.
the
It's
number
right.
that's on the salary survey.
It's
I can't
correct.
read it,
Yeah.
it's too small. Yes, sir. 1 second.
It's there. It was like about 4,000 more or something like that. Sound the right split on those numbers? It's like 97 to 101 something.
It was just shy of 3,000.
Yeah, okay.
I need to use my phone to see that thing.
Magnify.
I got those younger eyes still.
Exactly.
Oh, they're going.
Okay,
What, we have a different number over there or something?
A discussion.
what's that?
We're good?
We're good. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, if Paul wants to address what we just spoke about, I'll let him do
And
that.
if I may, Mr. Mayor, I'm
Yeah,
going
sure.
from memory, and that may not be a good thing, but my recollection in the salary study, the city clerk was at market, which means she would be at whatever the survey said, plus 3%. And I don't know, I don't remember if that's what happened. I thought the study showed her at market, so she would have been at, I'm gonna say 97, and she would have got, which would have put her where she is, and she would have gotten a 3% because she was at market, I think.
May I speak?
Yeah, because that's what the numbers
That's
show,
what-
the 3%.
Yeah, it's 3% in
Yeah.
the salary study here, so
Yeah.
that must be what
Okay,
you're
so,
saying.
okay, they did it.
So-
I just wanted to double check, because I wasn't part of that, I don't want to be part of it, but I just want to
Right.
make sure that those numbers were.
All right, so my
were addressed.
concern is, how do we give them their retroactive pay? Because that has not been done yet.
Yeah, it depends on what your motion was in the past. I'm reluctant
Understood.
to tell you, it may have been self-effectuating by, if it said, upon the settlement of the union negotiations, that's when they get paid, or it may be we're suspending it until after it, and then, but regardless, I mean, we can either bring back the item at the next meeting, you can direct me to check the language of the motion and go forward as it is. If it's self-effectuating, they should just be paid what they're entitled to.
Agreed. I would like to,
Well, find out, first of all, if we need to bring it back, right?
well, that's what I was gonna say. I think I would direct the city attorney to check the language and find out what needs to be done. If it was just merely till the employee union contract was done, then that can be enforced to move forward. It doesn't require us. If it was tabled to come back for discussion, then that's a whole different discussion. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and what I can do is I will look at it, and then I will make a determination, and if it isn't coming back to you, I will communicate that fact to you. And if the council has a problem with it, they can bring it up at the subsequent meeting.
All right, thank you. Mr. Carlisle, did you have something?
I was just going to clarify, the union contract will be coming to council for their ratification on the 24th.
On the
Okay,
24th?
so it can't happen before then anyway, depending on the
Right.
motion.
I just wanted to
Okay.
make sure that was clear, because
Okay.
it's not completed until you all ratify it. They've ratified it, now you all have to ratify it.
Fair enough.
Okay,
So we can,
We can have that after that on the same meeting.
Yeah,
I was
and
gonna say,
I'll
that
be
gives Mr. Mai
prepared.
time to be
Yeah,
prepared.
I'll be prepared for it.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure that the union contract is not 100%
Cool.
complete.
That's perfect then. Thank you.
Right, okay, so we're done with this, we're adjourned.